I'm going to be talking about here are the key trends, which we have been observing, some of which will accelerate and some of them will come to predominance. One of the things as which Shiva talked about right at the beginning was the fact that the ongoing pandemic, has seen dramatic shift in behaviors of consumers and companies alike. We've seen how the dairy industry has responded, both with new products, but my personal feeling is that more could have been done. Now, behavior, as we know, is the most difficult thing to change. But if you look at it from a COVID perspective, given the scare which was there, it has led to a lot of new behaviors. A series of lockdowns, which led to people staying at home. It led to people experimenting with food, trying out new stuff, trying out different things, and also posting it on the social media. Has resulted in an all-time probably higher, in-home consumption. Dairy products like cheese, particularly in the small packs, saw phenomenal growth, and all players were benefited as a result of that. But the other side of the story, which again Shiva talked about initially, was this whole aspect of out-of-home consumption. Out-of-home consumption, given the fact that we were not traveling outside, saw a dramatic drop, and even key dairy products, like milk, ice cream, and dairy beverages, they took a major beating. Now, consumer buying behaviors have also changed, and you would have seen that in your houses also. You may have relied more on the online platforms. Some of you would have been new to the online platform, gone onto the e-commerce sites and purchased from there. Some of you who may have gone to modern trade stores, which were far off from your house, you may have decided to only just step out to your neighborhood Kirana store and buy from there. You would have probably ordered in more through a phone delivery system. Now, the call of the hour was better immunity to ward off the virus, and anything and everything would help. We were looking for immunity in practically everything that we probably ate. And food companies responded by launching new products or repositioning new ones, given this whole change in the way people were wanting things, particularly the food products. Dairy companies also, we saw, responded in a similar manner. Now, given the health benefits of milk and the attendant possibilities, my personal belief is that more could have been done and probably well in advance. Okay. One thing which is certain is that the future will be uncertain. However, from not only an individual perspective, but also from an organizational perspective, I think all of us need to be better prepared. One thing which I believe in the coming years and maybe the next one decade, particularly in India, will see a whole change is the fact that we will be very conscious about our consumption. We'll be very careful about what we eat, what we put on our plate, and what goes in our body. So the two things which I believe will be very, very critical from an individual perspective, which will be the biggest signal which will go out to the companies, is that it will be healthy and natural all the way forward. And another thing which will happen as a result of this is that people are going to seek simplicity out of their foods. Okay. So what's going to happen as a result of this, one big trend which will come about, we don't see that right now, but is the fact that your labels are going to get clean. Today, when you look at a product label, I don't know how many of you will actually look at it, but you'd see a plethora of ingredients or products over there making up that whole basic product. So ingredients which are simple, natural, wholesome, and traditional will start appealing to a broad cross section of people, and you will see that dairy which has protein, calcium, and vitamin nutrients which are on a trend for today's consumers, they will start making a bold play. And a shortest ingredient statement will signify real food. In our organization at Bell, what we're trying to do across the globe in the various countries that we are present, we're trying to simplify recipes across brands. Okay. And one of our brands, Kiri, which has just been relaunched with the shortest list of ingredients, has only milk, cream, water, salts, and ferments. And in 2021, looking to kind of launch a new recipe of the Laughing Cow, which will have an equally short list of ingredients. So clean labels where the consumer can understand exactly what is there on that food pack is going to be a way forward. The other thing which all of us, while we love and we kind of love to hate it, actually, if I would say so, is sugar. But as industry players, we realize the importance of sugar also, that sugar provides the taste and texture that consumers so love. However, being on upon by most consumers as a way to avoid health issues. So if I were to say that magic bullet that is a 0-calorie label-friendly sweetener that tastes and functions like the full sugar version remains elusive, and currently we don't have an alternate to sugar or trying to get that sweetness or texture in the food. So that's going to be still some way off. But what dairy products can do over here is to take a lead in terms of propositioning their products as something which has less sugar, keeping it at minimal levels. And as a result of this, they can probably derive premiums from the consumers, something which is very critical as we move on the value added side, something which Shiva talked about also initially. So, this whole aspect of movement to the value added side will mean better revenues for the organization, better bottom lines for the organization. And you can do two more things as a result of that is that apart from the fact that you get a certain premium, you can also increase the perception about your organization. So that's one important thing which you should look at. In India, we've seen that snacking is a big thing, okay? And if you look at the Nielsen FMCG results studies, you'll see that products like biscuit and salty snacks rule the roost to an extent that if you were to look at snacking is a big thing. And what's going to also happen with us Indians is that we're going to be having smaller meals, given that more people are kind of going into the workforce. We will see a demand for healthy on-the-go snacks, and dairy snacks can participate over here. This will be a fallout of the changing consumer lifestyle. Now, one thing which I believe can be done over here in India and could be a big market is the dairy drinks segment. These can, the dairy industry can definitely take advantage of it. And so you have flavored milk over here, but something, which combines a lesser quantum of sugar in that, and possibly which is more healthy, more fulsome, can be given to the consumer. Plus yogurt-based drinks, which are yet to make a big play over here as far as the country is concerned. I see a lot of potential as far as that is concerned. If you were to look at the Bell proposition, is that typically all our cheese brands, are sold as portions, as small portions, which are individually packed and which you can have on the go. So the portion is in a way our signature. It reduces food wastage. It's healthy and safe, and you can enjoy without overeating. So what's all this going to lead to is that the consumer is going to be taking care of his or her health and body, and that's going to be of paramount importance. Now, the food and ingredients which support these goals will be preferred. We've already seen the importance and the demand for protein, okay, protein-based food products. Now, consumers are seeking protein like never before, given its perception as the macronutrient, which is most beneficial for health issues. Diets today are popularizing high protein consumption, and protein is seeming like the nutrient, which can do no wrong, given its positive association with weight management, which will keep demand high. So here, dairy companies can look at this whole aspect of having products which have a high protein content. Some companies, some dairy players have already started this process, and a bigger play as far as drinks and yogurt are concerned. I see that's something which can drive the way forward. Another aspect which is bound to happen is this whole focus on gut health. We are seeing, if you read the science journals, you'll realize there is a huge connect between the mind and gut. Now, if one were to kind of take care of one's body, the gut is something which you have to kind of take care of also. So gut health is going to be of importance. Educated and aware consumers will realize its benefits with regard to digestion and overall well-being. Eating more dairy that is rich in probiotics, fiber, and prebiotics will become more predominant. People will want such kind of products. And with added features, you can justify the premium and take on the dairy alternatives, which we'll talk about in just a while. Another aspect which is it's critical, and I would say this more from an organizational perspective. For every dairy organization, we can play a part in terms of the role, which is that we know that micronutrients are critical for overall growth and development of children. There are different levels of micronutrient deficiency in children. Okay, and there is a study which has been released by the Indian government. You can read that. Fortification of dairy products will help resolve such challenges to a great extent. At Bell Worldwide, what we do is that we typically look at every country. We try to figure out what is the macronutrient which is deficient and try to work upon our products trying to enhance the micronutrient content over there. So till date, what we've done is that 54 products have been updated with nutrient-enriched recipes in markets across the world where specific nutritional needs were expressed. And in India too, also, I mean, we are a very recent player as far as this country is concerned. We've launched the Laughing Cow cheese over here. And here the focus is also on the whole aspect of macronutrients. So we're propositioning it as something which you can enjoy and at the same time take care of your health and body. There's another big thing which every dairy player has to realize, or rather any food company has to realize, is that consumer choices, as consumers become more educated and more aware, will be increasingly influenced by societal concerns. While we want good to happen to our bodies, we'll want good to happen to the environment too. And I see this when I speak to a lot of youngsters in terms of what's happening around them with respect to the environment. These are concerns which are playing on the mind, and these will kind of permeate into the choices which they make with respect to the brands that they buy. So sustainability is going to be a big thing. Consumers are becoming concerned about how their consumption habits will impact future generations. And this is translating into the choices of brands that care for the environment. Now, such consumers are going to be willing to pay more for brands with a positive impact if done with authenticity. Okay, you can't just afford to do lip service. You actually have to believe in the cause that you are working towards. And consumers, if they understand what they're doing, what you're doing, and they kind of buy into it. When I say buy, they believe what you do. They're willing to kind of associate more positively with your brand and also be willing to pay a premium for your brand. Now, dairy brands, what they can do is to identify the challenges that they can help solve and pinpoint a particular aspect that builds into a positive position of strength. So you identify something which you care about and which you believe you can help to solve, and you play that to your strength. Okay. Now at Bell, what we're doing is to prioritize challenges with respect to climate, healthier food, sustainable agriculture, responsible packaging, and accessibility. One of the programs which we run across 7 cities across the world is what's known as the Sharing Cities program, which is more to kind of interact and sell through street vendors, to lift their financial position and also kind of include them financially. So we give them, we teach them about health, we teach them about financial planning, we support them with life insurance policies, we support them with medical insurance. So these are small things which we're trying to help the street vendors across these 7 cities as on date. Another aspect which is very critical, and if you look at it in your homes, you'll also realize that the whole aspect of food waste. Consumers are becoming aware and concerned about the wastage in food. A study shows that 55% of wastage actually happens on the consumer side, and various organizations, are stepping in to support this loss of wastage. What dairy companies could do is to not only help create the awareness amongst their consumers, but also work towards significantly reducing wastage at the consumer end, maybe by partnering with such kind of organizations. The whole aspect of societal concern is also seeing to a lot of launches in the dairy alternative space, something which kind of competes directly with the dairy industry. What we're seeing is that while in India it's a nascent industry, I agree, outside it's a large and growing industry. And it's all growing on the back of being perceived to be healthier and believed to be bringing, variety to the daily diet. Mostly what I see are younger consumers willing to switch given the increased awareness on animal welfare and environmental footprint. Now, it's critical for dairy brands to increase the engagement, with this segment of consumers, because what the youngsters or the next generation of people, they're going to be the future consumers. So how are you going to kind of inculcate or bring along a sense that dairy is good for you, okay, and grow this whole market? So that's critical. So I believe that we see a lot of brands in the non-dairy space starting to come within in India, and more so in the alternate space. A small thing, whole aspect is that apart from the trends in the food in dairy space, what we're also going to see is the way consumers buy, okay. And here I believe that dairy players need to be flexible and adapt new routes to market. We've all seen during the pandemic how we've personally interacted with the internet and e-commerce. The internet is going to be an enabler and is going to help us. Consumers will begin the buying journey using the internet. And what's going to be a fallout of this whole thing is that you'll see the rise of startup and challenger brands which will reach out to consumers using e-commerce platforms or will go direct. So it'll allow for new concepts to be tried out more easily. And once accepted, these brands could go more mainstream. A last point which I'd like to put forward to everybody in the forum over here is this: to evaluate the process in which you sell. So Shiva, I think, touched upon it briefly in terms of the whole aspect that we're moving from commodity, to branded. We will need to evolve and build our capabilities. The whole process of selling to the consumers should be genuine and be more consultative. That's what I feel. Thank you.